Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Hi, folks. Welcome back. And those that are new, welcome. We're going to cover one of the hot topics in America right now, illegal migration. Some call them migrants, some call them illegals. We're going to see a couple of videos. The first one is the former ICE director. That's the organization that watches the border. And he worked under President Trump. Let's take a look at what he has to say first. And is there really a solution to this problem? Is it really too late? Let's see.
Look, in the last year and a half, we got nearly 30,000 Chinese nationals, most of them military-age males. That just scared the hell out of everybody.
He's absolutely right. 30,000 Chinese nationals that they know of that snuck into the country. Every single country in the world, I don't want to hear this, nobody's illegal and any of this crap. The fact of the matter is every single country in this world has immigration laws. Period. We're not following any of ours. Why aren't people being held accountable? Why? You're going to see a video later with Senator Hawley talking to the Department of Homeland Security head, Mayorkas. And that's also going to interject a video, then Vice President Biden with Mayorkas talking about unrelenting migration. This is out of control. And something is going to happen. Just the sheer numbers of people, all it takes is a handful of bad eggs. We're not even talking about the financial or social ramifications of this. It is simply out of control. Let's listen.
So, you know, the numbers keep growing. This administration has the same data points you and I had. You would think, as China is not our friend, they're creating precursors to fentanyl. They're selling to the criminal cartels in Mexico that are killed over 110,000 Americans. But this president hasn't held China accountable. He hasn't held Mexico accountable.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop. Nonstop.
Think about that for a minute. This fentanyl has killed over 110,000 Americans. That's an amazing number. That is more than the casualties in Vietnam. It's incredible. And yet a blind eye is looked at with this. They're making billions of dollars illegally selling narcotics, in this case fentanyl, which is the latest monster to hit our streets. And who is it killing? Our young people, our future. Yeah, is it dumb to take drugs? Yeah. I mean, I know firefighters and police officers here in upstate New York. So I used to be a city councilman years ago. They have training now that when you walk into a house or a building with a fire or a police call, you can't even touch the walls with your bare hand. Because that little bit of fentanyl that's on that wall or whatever you touch can kill you. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Let's listen on.
So, look, the Chinese national, 30,000. I've done this job for over 3 decades. I've never seen numbers anywhere near this. This is drastic. This is the biggest national security failure that I've seen in this country since 9/11. This is historic.
An unrelenting stream of immigration, nonstop.
This isn't about social issues. This isn't about no one's illegal. Every country has immigration laws. The simple fact of the matter is this. You can have very liberal or open immigration, and you can have social welfare programs. You can't have both. That is a formula for fiscal and social disaster. Look what's happening in the major cities in the north, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, and other major cities. They're screaming now, Washington, D.C. They're screaming because they virtue signaled and said, we're a sanctuary city. No one is illegal. Come here. California even said, we will make sure during the Trump administration that the federal government cannot come and deport you if you're illegal. We will protect you as a sanctuary. Well, you can't have both. Now they're screaming like the hypocrite Mayor Adams in New York. It's going to cost us $12 billion in the next 3 to 4 years. The mayor of D.C. is screaming, we're not a border town, you know. Remember Martha's Vineyard? When those few people showed up there, they all had a stroke. Let's listen on.
And they can't tell you how many Hamas and Hezbollah or Islamic Jihads are also coming across our border. Wait till things start blowing up. Tom, if Trump wins and goes back to the White House, would you go back?
I promised President Trump when he announced that he goes back, I go back, and I'm going to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen.
And there you have it. That is the only solution. You can't say, well, John, they've already made it in the country. We'll just stiffen up our laws and watch our border better if there's a change in the administration, and at least it will stop the inflow. No, you have to do both. Unless you came through a port of entry and applied legally for asylum. Now, the NGOs, of course, are showing the so-called migrants that go through a port of authority how to lie on applications to get asylum. That has to stop too. Economic hardship in the country that you're from is not a requirement under U.S. law to give you asylum. Period. If that was the case, there would be 1 billion people here, and the place would deteriorate in a matter of weeks, if not days. Real asylum, not fake asylum. Now we're looking for a better opportunity for our children. Well, who isn't? Including Americans. That is not a reason for immediate asylum. The Biden administration's policy is, we can get your feet on the U.S. soil. We'll give you an appearance to be before a judge, and they cut them loose. Just getting them here. That's why they blocked Texas so much from the buoys in the Rio Grande and truck containers making walls, barbed wire that the federal government is moving to let them in. They want them on U.S. soil. And then that insult to injury, they twist the meaning of birthright citizenship. If you are here unlawfully and you give birth in the United States under federal law and the Constitution, that child is not a U.S. citizen. If you are here unlawfully. Let's listen to the rest, and then we'll go to Senator Hawley.
Because these millions of people being released in this country, 9 out of 10 will get an order removal based on immigration court data. A judge orders them removed. We're going to find them and we're going to remove them. There's no consequence. We can't fix the border. We're going to have a consequence in the Trump administration.
And there you have it. There you have it. There's going to be consequences. And the Democrats see this, and they're doing everything in their power to make sure they win next year's midterms and presidential elections, and even almost as important, local elections, county executives, people that are in charge of election integrity in counties and states. That's as important almost as being the president. We are at war over an ideology.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop.
You know, I'm going to be putting in the small video clip of President Biden with this individual, Mayorkas, who is head of the Department of Homeland Security now. He wasn't when Biden was vice president. And he's being questioned, interrogated, and I mean that in a good way, by Senator Josh Hawley. Let's take a listen. You're going to love this one.
I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, when you were last before this committee, we talked about the tens of thousands, it's actually 420,000 unaccompanied migrant children who have come across the border under your watch. We talked about the reports of the number of these children who have been lost, who have been sold into labor trafficking, into sex trafficking. Since your last appearance,
an unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop.
The numbers have grown worse. It now approaches 100,000 children, according to public reports, 100,000 children lost by your department and the Biden administration, migrant children sold into labor trafficking and sex trafficking. Now, your Department of Homeland Security Investigations has the authority to do child exploitation investigations. How many of these kids have you gotten back?
Senator, we actually have prioritized the rescue of children who have been human trafficked. Our role in the immigration process is to, with respect to unaccompanied children specifically, is to turn them over under the law within 72 hours to the Department of Health and Human Services, and that is indeed what we do.
But now, here's the thing. They stopped DNA testing. You see all kinds of news reports talking about if a minor is with an adult, it's their uncle or whatever they want to call it. And the kid is scared to death. So there's a mandatory DNA test done to see if the people are related. And 90% plus of the time, they're not. And once these children are let into the country, they disappear. And God knows what's happening to them. For someone like the Democrat Progressive Party that has such care for trans issues with children and all these other things, they just use your emotional gut, they are letting hundreds of thousands of children into the country to be exploited. Can't go into detail here because this is YouTube and they won't allow it. Let's listen on. You're going to love the rest of this.
How many of the children, nearly 100,000 children, in the you've read the New York Times reports, I assume, Mr. Secretary?
I have read many reports, Senator Hawley.
But do you know what I'm talking about with the number of children who have been sent to operate heavy machinery, who are not being paid, who are not going to school, who are being denied food, migrant children unaccompanied, who are now in the clutches of labor traffickers? You're familiar with this, right?
That is precisely why I revised our worksite enforcement.
Good. How many of the kids have you gotten back then? 85,000 or more now. Lost contact with. It's been months since you were last here. How many of those children have you rescued?
An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop.
Can you give me a number?
You are conflating issues.
So you can't give me a number. You haven't rescued any of these children. You haven't gotten any of them back.
You are conflating issues and what is within our remit and what is outside of it.
Okay. Well, it doesn't sound to me like this is a priority, and I have to tell you, that's what your own agents tell me.
Because it's not a priority. It's not a priority. And we can speculate till the cows come home as to why. I think there's two main reasons, in my opinion. One is just simply money. There's a ton of money to be made exploiting children in some despicable ways and also as free or cheap labor. But then there's the other reason. I think they're both together in tandem. The dilution of the voter base in this country. This isn't some John conspiracy theory nonsense. This is actually what's going on. And many local municipalities are allowing non-citizens to vote. And there it starts. We can go into election integrity till the cows come home, and this website won't allow it. But I think those two reasons are the reasons. Replacing a voter base and simply all about money.
As well. A whistleblower from your Agency of Homeland Security Investigations has come to me and has said that special agents who are working on child trafficking cases and fentanyl interdiction cases have been pulled off of their investigations and sent to the southern border. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these agents at a time, taken out of the field, taken off child exploitation cases, and sent to the southern border. Here's some of what she said. She said, we're being told to shut down investigations, to go hand out sandwiches, and escort migrants to the shower.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. Non-stop. Non-stop.
And sit with them while they're in the hospital and those types of tasks. Mr. Secretary, you're taking special agents away from investigating child traffickers and child exploitation when when you've lost tens of thousands of kids to traffickers and you're sending them to make sandwiches at the border. What is going on?
You are incorrect, Senator.
You are incorrect. Of course he's correct. I mean, you couldn't make up something like that up because it's so outrageous. It has to be true. And we go back to our original premise. Why are they allowing this to happen? To dilute the voter base in order for big corporations or big companies to make money? The Democrat Party was supposed to be for the working person. Don't you remember the minimum wages and the wage increases and the compensation for workers and, you know, holiday pay and sick pay and vacation and bereavement time and paternity leave and all the rest? They were big supporters of unions and the working person. Well, there's been a switch. Everybody talks about the switch from Republican, Democrat to Republican in the South, which is a lie. But the actual real switch has been the Democrat Party, which was the party of the individual worker and person, and the rights that they have switched. And they have now are in the pocket of big business. And at the same time, they need to dilute the voter base in order to stay in power. Let's listen on.
Are there special agents from HSI at the border?
Senator, we have a number of priorities. We prioritize.
See, you know what else? They never answer the question. Because they can't, because they're under oath. So if they answer the question and it's a lie, they can be criminally charged. I doubt it would happen, but they can be criminally charged. So since they're sworn in, they have to evade the question. That way they're not committing perjury and lying under oath. Clever, huh?
Trafficking in children. We prioritize the fight against fentanyl. We prioritize.
Mr. Secretary, you're not answering my question. You're not answering my question. Are there HSI special agents who are currently at the border having been pulled away from other cases?
Combating the fight against fentanyl, yes.
How many agents are currently at the border having been pulled off of their other cases?
To fight the scourge of fentanyl, I'd be very pleased to provide you with that data.
That's not what the special agent is alleging. That's not what she said. She said that they're being taken off of fentanyl interdiction, off of child exploitation cases, off of their other investigations into criminals to make sandwiches. That's her quote. You're saying that this is a lie, that she's wrong?
Senator, we have a number of law enforcement priorities with the resources.
See, he won't say whether she's lying or not because he can't, because he's under oath. And that's the twisted little way of things are done in Washington. This swamp, this cancer runs so deep now. Back years ago, the communists took over Russia, became the Soviet Union. China had a revolution, but that revolution would never happen here in the United States like that. The only way they can take over is by slowly and surely corrupting individual institutions such as universities, high schools, local governments, state governments, federal governments, but the agencies itself, all the alphabet soup agencies, slowly over time, has been filled with progressive Democrats. And that's how you take it over. You don't take it over with arms like China and Russia. The United States is different, so the tactic is different. You take over the agencies, the bureaucracies that really run things in this country, and then you put in the direction you want it to go in.
Making sandwiches one of them?
We have, of course not, Senator. We accomplish a tremendous amount.
Is she wrong?
Because of the tremendous talent and dedication of our personnel, including Homeland Security
Making sandwiches for illegal immigrants. Is she wrong? This is one of your agents. Is she wrong? She says that there are 600 at least special agents pulled off of other cases, sent down to the border to babysit illegal immigrants. Is she wrong?
Senator, our personnel, we use our personnel to achieve the maximum law enforcement objective possible. That is what we do.
And so you're not going to deny it.
And I'm incredibly proud of what our people do
this
every
is news.
single day.
This is news. Well, I want to thank this brave whistleblower for coming forward and let the...
You're not going to deny it. And he's right. what you think well or ill of Josh Hawley, Senator Hawley, he's right. He won't deny it because he can't, because he's under oath. And he's afraid that the Republicans will come after him. Now, this is a Senate hearing. Of course, the Democrats technically have the majority with the tie-break vote of the vice president. So it is news. And why isn't it all over the place? Well, we all know why. Now, let's listen again to the former ICE director with over 30 years of experience. Here is the solution. I think it's going to be long. It's going to be just difficult at best. Roadblocks from judges and NGOs, lawyers trying to stop what's going to happen. But the only solution that I can see is what this gentleman says now.
Wait till things start blowing up. Tom, if Trump wins and goes back to the White House, would you go back?
I promised President Trump when he announced that he goes back, I go back, and I'm going to run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. Because these millions of people being released in this country, 9 out of 10 will get an order removal based on immigration court data. A judge orders them removed, we're going to find them, and we're going to remove them.
And that's as simple as that. Enforce the laws that are already here. So we go back. Is there a solution? Yes, I think there is. And the problem is it takes 10 times as long to fix a problem as to cause a problem. And they're basically doing nothing. You saw a video of mine where it showed a bulldozer lifting up barbed wire to let immigrants in. And who's doing that? Border Patrol on orders. And I don't want to hear that I'm just following orders. That's been debunked since Nuremberg at the end of World War II. I'm just following orders doesn't work anymore. But they're still doing it. And I express my opinion as to why I think it's happening. What's yours? Like I said, in the next year, 2 years, is going to determine the future of this country for the next 100 years. Which way do you want this republic to go? I have a granddaughter, and soon to be, maybe even today, a grandson coming. What future do I want for them? What country do I want for them? I want to have the same country I grew up in. What do you think? Until next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.